When planning and making my documentary, I made sure to keep referring back to my research into documentary codes and conventions. I'd done this because I wanted my documentary to look realistic and professional, and to do this I had to conform to the codes and conventions. When researching, I found that the codes and conventions were to have a narrator guiding the viewer, and although I decided to not have my narrator on screen, she was still guiding the audience through the documentary. Also, the editing normally contains short shots in order to keep the audience's attention, and the interview scenes only show the answers to keep the documentary flowing. I found that interviews are the key element in documentaries, so I made sure to line up several interviews, including one from a playwright within the arts industry. While shooting my interviews, I made sure to get a background that reflects to what the interview is about. For example, I positioned Wes Ruffin, who I posed as an MP, outside the drama studio. I also put relating footage over the top of the interviews. For instance, when Matthew Russell started talking about exams, I placed some archive footage of an exam taking place over top. Archive footage is another code and convention of documentaries. The footage is used to show past events that relate to the documentary. In my documentary, I included footage from past productions, such as Checkered Flags with Checkered Futures. I conformed to all the codes and conventions in my documentary, including mise-en-scène, as I kept my lighting natural. I used handheld shots. Apart from some of the interviews, I used a tripod to keep steady shots. And I kept everyone in their normal clothing, apart from the MP interview with Wes Ruffin, as I staged it and I asked him to bring a suit. A typical code and convention of documentaries is that the first few minutes of camera work are establishing shots. Therefore, in my documentary, I spent the first minute showing a montage of footage from across my documentary. This allowed the audience to see a brief overview of what is going to happen within the documentary. I used both non-diegetic and diegetic sound within my documentary. The dialogue told the story, and the soundtracks behind it represented an emotion throughout. Those were all the codes and conventions of documentaries, and I tried my best to conform to each one. I also used other documentaries as inspiration. On my blog, I created a presentation on this, but overall, I watched documentaries such as The Blackfish, Stacey Dooley documentaries, Reggie Yates documentaries, and Louis Theroux's. The Blackfish inspired me to get an interview from someone within the arts profession. Stacey Dooley aims to raise awareness with her documentaries, which is what I wanted to do with mine. This is why I chose a large topic to document on. Reggie Yates inspired my opening shot of Matthew Russell walking into the drama studio and turning the lights on. My footage of a strike, which I stayed, was inspired by Louis Theroux's use of archive footage. Overall, because I kept referring back to my research into codes and conventions, I decided to conform to all the codes and conventions. I feel like because of this, I've been able to make a professional looking documentary.